There are a myriad of reasons why someone becomes homeless. Most common reasons that someone becomes homeless is due to a breakdown in relationships, medical debts, debt in general, job loss, drug addiction, mental health issues, criminal records, etc. One of the issues that can lead someone to homelessness that I want to talk about is the issue of trauma, or adverse experiences that rupture a person's sense of self and threaten to lead to further mental and physical health issues later on in life if not properly and adequately addressed. In the trauma recovery courses led by Reboot Recovery, we create a safe community group for individuals to process the impact of traumatic events that have occurred to them, as well as to educate them on predictable behavior patterns for people with unprocessed or repressed trauma. These predictable behavior patterns include social isolation, unsafe sexual encounters, drug use, and in extreme situations, unsheltered homelessness, and engagement in criminal activities. The inebriation and continued drug and alcohol addiction that I come across in my ministry context can usually be attributed to subconscious trauma responses, since the person who is unhoused is usually responding to a ruptured sense of self from a traumatic or usually series of traumatic events, which continues to influence their identity, well-being, and reluctance to trust others. Trauma reboot courses teach that there are responses to trauma that can lead to even more trauma as a result of being overwhelmed. The response of trauma episodes, as described in Reboot: first, we deny, then we cry, then we numb, then we run. It is through these maladaptive responses of trauma that I see a lot of unhoused people currently struggling with. This may explain why some people are still living in unsheltered living conditions on the street, despite the overwhelming resources to help combat the problem. It is a complex situation, but introducing the perspective of trauma theology integrated with psychological concepts of trauma healing can be a force for good in this public arena. In an interview with Terry Gray, a coordinator at Reboot Recovery and a director of a women's shelter, she explained that many of the people who are living in transitional housing are still actively in trauma and do not have a lot of bandwidth for learning new skills or completing homework. She introduced Reboot to her women's shelter and said it was a monumentally positive experience for the women there, as faith-based recovery practices help these people to process what had happened to them earlier in life and to develop positive frameworks and coping mechanisms, inspired by the theology of a loving God, which gives them the strength to get their life back on track. So, my task as a local missions volunteer and Reboot Recovery course teacher is to create a new positive worldview that is informed by Christian theological frameworks for people who are active in trauma and to give them the hope and encouragement that only the gospel can afford to them. By continuing to partner with churches and nonprofits to grow Reboot Recovery classes in their communities, I can cultivate and promote emotionally healthier and trauma-aware people who struggle with reconciling a good God with the problematic experiences felt within a broken world. Thank you for all who have helped to support this mission, and thank you for listening to this podcast, Season 1 of In Search of Shalom. Blessings and peace to you all. Thank you.